Hey everybody, it's Friday, November 11th, 2022. I've never said the date.
11/11.
I've never ever told people the date. They never know what day it is, and today they finally do.
They don't. That makes the shows more timeless in a way. But we should probably wish everybody here in the United States a happy Veterans Day.
Yes.
Thank you for your service, and same to
including my husband, who is a disabled veteran.
Thank you, Michael's husband.
Thank you.
Michael, how are you?
I'm great. Life is good.
Perfect. Check. Hashi, how are you?
Doing great.
Excellent. Check. Well, that's our show this week, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. We actually, just kidding.
Oh.
Hashi, what are we doing today? We're doing something very fun because, actually, I'm going to back up here. Michael, would you do us the honors real quick of telling us a little bit about something that happened this week?
Well, let me tell you, some very exciting stuff happened on Wednesday. For one thing, Real Lens Flares is actually a real product now. It's officially out of technology preview. Real Lens Flares is the most realistic lens flare plugin you can get because it simulates actual light going through a lens. So now,
important part of lens
a lot of lens flare plugins are like, you move the lens flare on the screen, and it's just moving simple shapes around is really all it's actually doing. But real lens flares, like the shapes change shape when they move because they're actually how a real lens flare does, reflecting and refracting through the lens elements. Anyway, it's really super cool. But now there's diffraction and schmutz, so like dirt on your lens. So it's like been a bajillion new presets, so you can like get yourself started on something gorgeous like immediately. It's fantastic if you want the most realistic
lens flares. Gonna need to make a schmutz drop, I think.
We do need a schmutz drop. People were schmutzing like crazy on the live stream when it was announced. Like schmutz was the word of the chat for like a good half hour. Then also Trapcode Particular, one of my most used tools, not only in my personal life but also in my work life, has got some lovely updates, long requested updates on the gradient editor. So now you've got a bajillion presets, which you can, before there's just hard-coded like few of them. Now there's a whole bunch, and it's an infinite, theoretically, number you could have. You can save and share presets. And also you can distribute your gradient knots, and you can have your gradient knots just be hard stops. No interpolation between the colors. Because if you wanted, like, I want particles to use these three colors only, just these three colors, you would have to be like make a bunch of knots, scooch them right up against each other, and you'd have a few particles that were like halfway between the colors because you couldn't get them right up next to each other. Now you just say, I want this to be a hard stop, and there's just the colors you want, and it's fantastic. You can have some knots be hard stops and some be interpolated. Like you have like tons of control now, which is great, especially with form in particular being the same tool now. There's also some, by the way, some more form behavior preset blocks for your emitter. So you want more form-like behavior, you can just pick a form preset and you'd be good to go right inside particular. And then you can have your gradient mapped across X or Y or Z, and then you have full control over the colors. And the curves also, like so speed over life and size over life and those sorts of opacity over life, those graphs have all been updated to smoother to use, better looking. Just the whole interface in particular, graphs and gradients are updated, and Real Lens Flares happen. And Cinema 4D had an update as well. There's a radial symmetry 4D had an update?
I haven't heard anything about it.
I hadn't heard anything about that. There were some radial symmetry updates, which are nice. Especially if you're modeling tires or wheels or really anything with radial symmetry, it's because the last release they got regular symmetry. Now the update, now there's regular symmetry. It's some people and most other DCCs are quite jealous because it's a fantastic implementation of symmetry. Now radially as well. Also, you get parametric point selections on splines now, so you can just use fields to control. I think there was like one other feature that people were excited about, but I can't remember what. Oh, redshift camera. Yeah, the redshift camera is now in. Lots more control over your redshift cameras. I think there was something else, though.
You guys are adorable.
Something.
We are. It's amazing. Well, we are obviously talking about a little thing that we like to call fire.
Fire.
I really, there we go.
Now
there was
we're
a drop
talking.
for it somewhere.
So yes, everybody in the Maxon Sphere world is aware that, Maxon or Cinema 4D 2023.1 came out. And one of the coolest things that I have ever had access to is the new system called PYRO in Cinema 4D. And if you saw the trailer or the little teaser for this episode, or if you've seen any of Maxon's social posts of late, you know that this is a crazy powerful tool. And so we thought that we would do what we always do when we get crazy powerful tools, which what would you say that is, Seth?
Ruin them, use them wrong.
Is there like how would we professionally say that? Like if we needed to put on a resume, we run public interactive user sessions to flex the
sessions. Are you spelling something? I'm actually lost.
No.
You're teeing me up for something, and I'm letting you down.
I just want to be able to put on my resume, how nicely I represent these products with my extensive knowledge.
Basically, you're like a kid who gets a new toy on his birthday and runs out and starts playing with it until he breaks it.
Hey, did you read the thing? I don't need to.
What we do.
Yeah, who reads the thing?
I didn't read the. I broke the fire
manuals. Truck. No need manuals. Let's just make fire on things. Speaking of which, let's make fire on things.
Hey, we should make fire on things.
I think we should.
Hey, Seth, if you want to show my screen, I can show you a little bit what the fuss is all about.
Do it.
So,
hey, it's us.
The fuss is all about.
So here's what the fuss is all about. This is
Hashi, we're just seeing Skype.
Oh, we're seeing Skype. Why is that being?
Skype. There's lots of my face happening right now.
Okay, hold on.
That's on me. That's on me, folks.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that at some point I started sharing the wrong
there we go.
screen.
There we go.
Hey, look at this.
That should be better. That's
okay.
Much better.
We're back.
So this is a lovely program called Cinema 4D. I've got a little sphere here. It's not even baked, just a sphere as it comes in. I did change it to a hexahedron because I like hexahedrons. And I've got a background object that's solid black, just, for a better view. But that's really all I've done. And this is something that anyone could do pretty easily. But what I want to demonstrate now is a new tag we have in Cinema 4D called the PYRO tag. I will just go over to my sphere here, right-click, say Simulation Tags, and go to PYRO. And now you'll see the little PYRO badge has appeared here, and a new object has appeared called PYRO right here. And really what this is this isn't an object. This is basically access to a new simulation system that we have that is also available in the project settings. If you go to the project settings under simulation, one of the whole bodies of simulation is called PYRO. And this is the exact same settings you will see if you click on this handy-dandy shortcut right here to see what PYRO settings are. Now, obviously, any simulation will take a lot of crazy setup, but I want to show you that this one, I put that tag on there, and then I press play. And look at that.
It's so cool. It works just so immediately.
Immediately.
Right away, cool fire.
Cool fire.
Cool fire.
Cool fire.
Just grab it. Grab the sphere and move it around, huh?
Fire.
I mean, look, you just grab it and move it, and it just, look, it's so good.
I am not a Cinema 4D expert by any stretch, and I have hours of recorded demonstrations of me not being a Cinema 4D expert of any sorts. But I have made fire.
I don't have it as a drop. I meant to have it as a drop, but
that should be a drop.
If you take your shirt off, we can just recreate it.
All right. It wouldn't be the first time I'd got.
You literally froze. You're back.
Did I freeze? Perfect. So what do you say? Let's see. Everything looks a little slow. What have I done?
Is that me or is that you?
Let me see if it's me or if it's you.
Michael, move around.
La 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 la.
Yeah, we're not frozen.
Oh, I maxed out my my
Maxoned out.
Being too ambitious. With the waving around.
So what you need to do is close Cinema 4D and close Chrome, especially. Chrome eats up VRAM for no reason.
It's Pixar with the defaults. That's actually the name of our new
and I should probably. I don't need After Effects open in the background either. I'm just going to close a couple of things that are
close all your
that
things.
are eating all of the food on my
eating
video card
all
right
the
now.
food.
But as you all saw, if you go update your Cinema 4D right now, you can grab any object and throw the PYRO tag on them and immediately see results that cool. And I just love that. It makes me so like I'm just happy. I love being able to access things like that. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and close anything else that's stealing the attention of my lovely GPU, and try to get started up again. And while you all are watching, one of the things that I think would be a lot of fun to do, if I am not frozen out right now from the call, is let us know some things that you would like to see us light on fire, and or fun scenes from movies that you like that feature fire, things of that nature. Oh, I didn't know we were still sharing my screen, are we?
Oh, whoops. My bad. What were you doing?
All good. No, nothing. I was just, I had nothing on that screen because I was closing everything. So I'm back in Cinema 4D here, and I think that it would be fun to take a look at, I'm going to open up my Twitter feed and invite some people to come watch our show and suggest some things that we could light on fire live.
We do need to light some things on fire live.
So let me find, where did I ask? Somewhere I asked what people's favorite scenes featuring fire were. So I'm just trying to scroll down. Luckily, Twitter has been working so smoothly and perfectly over the last little while that I figured that it was the best way to ask this question. So here's what we've got. I asked the question, what's one of your favorite, shots or scenes involving fire? This is one of my favorites, Wednesday Addams, poking some direct fun at the ridiculous nature of some of our traditions here. So we've got this one from Harry Potter. We've got this. What is this? Is this? I don't know what that one is.
Just relaxing.
Just relaxing. It's basically the live action version of the "This Is Fine" meme, which also I know Aaron Rabinowitz created a fun live action version. And David Torno replied with this one, which really just got stuck in my brain because it's a very memorable scene. Sorry, it's a little graphic out there, everybody. But look at all these wonderful things that fire has treated us to through the movies, because fire is just so fun. Hey, look at this.
So fun.
So fun. So fun. So fire. So there are a lot of
fire.
What? Oh, sorry. Riker. Sorry, Riker just kind of jumps on whenever he wants.
We've got some suggestions in the chat too, by the way.
Stop playing.
I don't have access to the chat, so
that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here.
Oh, yeah. Go for it, Michael.
Someone wants you to light a T-Rex on fire to simulate dino extinction, which
that's not how they went extinct.
Not a bad idea. I mean,
they all lit on fire.
I will mention that
Rocket Lasso did an amazing job with that.
Yes,
changing
lighting dinosaurs
history?
on fire has been done by competent people.
Yeah, he lit a Stegosaurus on fire. Really cool. He had the Stegosaurus light on fire from the tail, and it went to the front. And at the same time, the fire was. It made it look like the fire was melting the Stegosaurus, so it kind of like all collapsed because he was using a vertex map, an animated vertex map, to drive the fire. And that same vertex map was also driving soft body simulation, where the soft body was getting smooshier behind the fire. So it was fire melting, and the material changed as well using the same vertex map. Because you can drive vertex maps with fields, and vertex maps can drive a lot of things. Like, it's insane. So he did that, and then he made a T-Rex breathing fire. So if you've missed that, go see Rocket Lasso's What's New in Cinema 4D 2023.1, and you'll see a T-Rex breathing fire and a Stegosaurus on fire. So, although I should clarify, he was very specific. That is not a live Stegosaurus he was setting on fire. That was a museum sculpture of a Stegosaurus that was catching on fire. No real Stegosauruses were burned.
Thank goodness, because I love Chris, but I love
Stegosaurus is better.
Stegosaurus is just a little more. It's not, it's.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I couldn't pronounce the name of the person who made that suggestion, but because it's in non-English characters, so sorry about that. But if you want to see a T-Rex and a Stegosaurus on fire, go see Rocket Lasso's video. Chris Lambeth wants you to set Shrek's ears on fire like little candles.
Okay, that one. I'm sorry, but that speaks to me so nicely right away. I mean, I used to work at that studio where I could, would have had access to the full Shrek, but I'll just have to hope
the full Shrek.
That I hope that someone online at some point has. Do we know if Shrek is something that anybody is aware of out there? Is it possible that there's a subculture of?
No one on the internet likes Shrek.
No one on the internet likes Shrek,
no.
right? Okay, so Shrek is this
Shrek's not popular at all.
Film.
Indie film.
So Harrison Hag, I am thankful for your Creative Commons attribution here. It's even a rigged Shrek. I didn't even realize that when I brought it in because I want it to be, if I'm in an empty comp, I want it to be a little bit bigger if I'm going to be using the PYRO system on it. So here we have Shrek with just dead to the world eyes. I'm going to delete the, I don't need the rig. We don't need that at all. We're going to just dive in here and I want to simplify him a little bit. Where's Shrek's skin? Shrek's skin is right here.
Well, already horrifying.
We're all amazing. Okay, so what I'm going to do...
the dead eyes are like perfect.
I think I need to... I'm going to do a current state to object on this situation because it was a rigged model before and I really just want all of the geometry from it. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to say, actually, could I do a connect and delete, connect objects and delete and just end up with one Shrek here? All right. This seems wonderful. So what I would like to do is the PYRO system, like any simulation system, benefits from lower poly input just because there are fewer things to have to deal with. So if I were to light Shrek's ears on fire, the way I would go about it is by maybe going into the polygon mode. Maybe I'll go to the little ring selection and let's see if maybe not the ring selection, I guess. Here we go. Ooh, maybe what about coming out of the ears? Or is it the physical ears are on fire? Answer us in the chat if you know what
They says set Shrek's ears on fire like
on
little
fire.
Candles.
All right,
like little candles. So I'm going to go with the edges here. So what I'm going to do is something very simple. I'm just going to grab those polygons, right click and say split. And as you all know, what that does is it creates a duplicate of the stuff right here. And I'm going to right click on that, say simulation tags, PYRO, and all I've got to do now is press play. Yeah. All right.
It really doesn't get old.
At this point this is the point where we, as a
where we sign off. Thank you for watching this week.
We won't top this. So I think we're done.
Golly. How is this? How have we been doing full shows with real things up to this point? This is all we will do for the remainder of time.
This is amazing. So at this point, you might be wondering, well, okay, so you set Shrek's ears on fire. Great. It doesn't look that phenomenal in here. No. And if you want phenomenal, what you want to watch is our amazing Ask the Trainer series, where we get into some amazing detail on redshift rendering and how you go about making this fire look like some of the amazing examples we've seen online and not like puffs of broccoli in here. But I will go over the little bit that I know about this system. So down here,
where we can't see because our heads are there. There we go.
Oh, we can't see. All right.
Now we can see.
Let me make sure I can see. All right. So we have Shrek. There's the body, and we're just going to call this the ears. It's not really the ears, but it's the thing with the PYRO tag. And in fact, I can delete all of this other texture and stuff from it. I don't need
Das
it right
Wittes HD is asking, can you render that Pyro stuff only with Redshift, or can you use Arnold or some other render engine? So long as your render engine supports VDBs, that's all this is. It's just making a VDB. So yes, you can render it in Arnold or Cycles 4D or Octane.
Exactly.
Can Pyro make explosions? Nick Smith asks, like blow up a train car Butch Cassidy style. You can make explosions. All you have to do is add more fuel.
You can do anything you dream.
You really can. In fact, I might just open up this other project that I have over here in this folder I call Pyromania. Let's see if did I say, where did I save it in? Did I save it out here somewhere?
Are you going to show them? Show them some fuel.
I'll show them a little bit of fuel. So there are a couple of demonstrations that I think I have for this that are kind of fun. Now let's try this one. I don't remember where this one was. Oh, let's see. Let's see, not that one. Close project. I feel like.
Well, while you look for that, why don't I just light some eyes on fire? So I've got
Please.
I've got these models that you made of our heads that are perfect. Like
they're dead on.
Like perfectly chiseled face, just like I absolutely have. We all agree. And your hair is pretty immaculate in this thing too. So, what should I light our eyes on fire?
Like, why is that even a question? That's
true. I don't know why I always call you to ask you that, like in the middle of the night. So I guess all I do is I just add the simulation tag to the eyes. I'm just gonna add Pyro, and I guess I'm just going to hit play, and I guess, that was my face. I added to the wrong layer. That's fun. So I guess, let's try this again. I'm just going to add the Pyro tag to my eyes, and I guess my eyes are just going to light on fire there.
Oh my gosh.
And here's a really cool thing. If you use, you can, if you want anything to collide with the fire, you just put a collider tag on it. Of note, the same collider tag that works with cloth, that works for ropes, that works for soft bodies, it's all part of the same system. So you can drive a cloth or rope simulation with the forces you're getting out of Pyro, because Pyro can be a source in a field force, and Pyro can be affected by field forces. It's ridiculously insane.
That is amazing.
One thing I would love to do is, why it's not stopped working? Well, I think you're going to walk through fuel, so I'll let you do that.
I think Hashi's got a nice big bada boom.
All right, I'm over to you now.
So we've got a couple caching. I'm doing a little caching so we can play around without having to recalculate everything for a second. All right, here we go. What's wonderful about this is I am caching my simulation, and when you cache a simulation of Pyro, the result is a saved VDB file. So it's right here. You designate it when you're creating a cache, and it's right here as a simulation scene 01.vdb. And so what I've got going on here is this little Jeep, like kind of wrecked Jeep. And
like
I have a heap. I have some physics tags, some a little like soft body or like a mesh deformer thing on it, just because I was curious. But what we ended up with is this little exciting explode. Oh, I'm under the ground. So not the world's greatest simulation here, but that's a fun way to see something that looks a little bit more like an explosion. And another way to see something that is a really clear example of how these work is out here, this little file that I call oil barrels.
Yes.
Oil barrels is a fun little setup where you can see what I've done. And in fact, maybe I will, let me play through a little bit just so you can kind of see what it does. For the sake of our live stream, I'm going to go to my Pyro object. And one of the largest quick ways you can determine how crazy the sim is getting is by Pyro's voxel size right up here at the top. Right now there's a voxel, and everyone knows that's a 3D pixel, basically a 3D volumetric pixel, and each of these fire simulations is built up of them. The larger these are, the more like a low-res picture it'll look. Just think about how many pixels you want filling your screen. So if I have this at 5, that's kind of on the lower end, which is really nice. And what's kind of cool is that Pyro's system will let you determine the voxel size that'll be used in all of the flame simulation universe. But for any object like this, if I click on this tag, you can see it's a cool little fuel icon, little burning barrel right there. You can set this voxel size to anything larger than that if you want, which is kind of cool. If I set it lower than that, it's going to basically ignore it. But yeah, that's how that works. A great discussion about that, again, on yesterday's Ask the Trainer from some very competent people who are teaching this as opposed to just playing with it. So what I've got here is I've got this little teeny tiny sphere.
Tiny sphere.
Lighter. And it's a lighter because on my PYRO tag, the density is enabled. That means that it's putting out a number of voxels per second in a way. The temperature is enabled. So when we have temperature and density, it means it's spitting out a bunch of voxels, and they're all going to be at about 4,000. We'll say degrees. I don't know what that represents exactly.
Density is basically smoke, and the temperature is basically where you get your fire.
That's a
so if you don't want smoke, you just turn off density and you just get fire. If you don't want fire, you just turn off the temperature and you just get smoke. But the smoke won't move up with the temperature without blah 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 blah.
Perfect.
They work together.
So I'm quickly going over to all these fuel tags and unchecking enabled for them. So if I play this, you'll just see the simulation of that little match dropping. So that's the default. It's just a sphere with a bullet tag to just fall down to the floor like that, and that's kind of all it does. But what I would like is I want this oil slick to then catch on fire. So I've put a fuel tag on it here, and I'll enable that. And on my fuel tag, you'll notice I don't have any density going. I don't have any temperature enabled. But right
here,
just
sitting there being fuel.
Just sitting there being fuel. And this fuel is set to be a continuous fuel that starts at about a 0.8. I actually have a keyframe on here because I want it to kind of burn out. And so you have several different ways you can apply the fuel. It can be continuous. It can be a frame range, so it'll cut off at a certain point, or contingent based on, I'm not even sure about that one. I think that's based on the amount of heat around it, or something like that. Anyway, I've set this to continuous. And now if I turn that on, you'll notice I still have the barrels turned off, but I'm going to press play.
There's a tiny sphere. It drops onto the fuel and whoosh!
And look at that.
Boom.
Fire.
And now my fuel catches on fire, and it goes over to these barrels, and look at that. It just starts crawling around them. And you can see that my computer's doing some thinking here, which is great. I can definitely, if I want to, go into my main PYRO setting. I'll skip back to the first frame because with PYRO, you should always skip back to the first frame if you want the simulation to start again. So let's go to PYRO, and I'll just tell it to have a voxel size of maybe 15 for now. It's going to make everything look a little bit muddier, but it'll be kind of faster for everyone to get what this is doing.
And I would like to point out that you notice Hashi didn't have to set up a domain. There are some fire sims out there we have to say, I want the fire sim to happen inside this box, and it's got a certain number of voxels in it. This is a sparse domain, meaning it puts the voxels only where you need it,
on the skin,
but throughout anywhere in the scene. So if you've got a little rocket going like this, you don't have to make a big box that fits the path of the rocket. It just makes its own little voxels wherever it needs it for the whole path of the rocket. So you can make a rocket doing a little helix spiral, and you just get a helix spiral of voxels. So it doesn't have to compute this huge space. It just has to compute right where the action is happening, as Hashi is demonstrating here with this
visualization. Tree. Yeah, you can go to the PYRO, the main object right here, or like I said, to the settings, simulation, PYRO. It's the exact same settings right there. Just think of this as a shortcut because you know you're going to be accessing it often. So in here, if you scroll down to the bottom, you have a checkbox for drawing the PYRO itself, drawing a bounding box that shows you how big your overall volume is, and you can even draw the tree structure. And you can see that it's color-coded to kind of show where, where the most activity is, which is pretty cool. So
yeah, basically you've got voxels that are active, stuff happening in them, and ones that are idle, expecting that action will show up shortly, or action has just recently left, and it's just saying, hey, I'm still calculating this in case something happens here. And you can specify how much buffer that it gives you too. If you have a very slow-moving fire sim, you can make that buffer smaller. Like if the fire is not moving quickly through your scene, I mean, like the distance. So you can make the buffer smaller so it's not trying to, it calculates less. There's a lot of things you can do. There's so much tweaking you can do on this. Like I don't want to get too in the weeds.
Yeah, just like every particle system, there are many, many things that you can tweak to play with the quality of this. I'm turning it back down to 5 for a second. And some of these voxels are pretty apparent. You can see it it comes across as pixelation of these. But what's really cool about this is that you can throw the quality up more. You can play with it at kind of lower. And like, I've never been able to move around a volume like this before in my life. I've been too scared to you legitimately engage with any of the volumetric plugins for Cinema or to jump outside to Houdini or anything like that. But I love this. I can see this right here. It's beautiful. And also, while I have the PYRO tag selected, something that you all might be interested in is down under the draw settings. You can also, instead of just the shaded version, you can render out some different maps, like a temperature map or the fuel. Look at this. Here's a map of where the fuel is most active. And you see that fractal pattern in here. That's because within each PYRO tag, you can determine the 3D fractal noise field of where the fire is propagated effectively. I'm simplifying a bit, but this is a fractal pattern that comes from the oil slicks PYRO tag. When I scroll down here to noise strength is set to 2, noise scale 25, and frequency like that. So depending on the type of object you have, you can make your noise sort of match the type of surface you have. And honestly, mine actually shouldn't have really any noise, which would be kind of neat. But for me to see that again, I'll keep it in the same display mode, but I'm going to press play from the beginning again. And now I have very smooth, look at that. This is really what Liquid should have been doing to begin with. So as you go through some of these settings, you'll learn more about how each tag can have its own noise system, velocity system, add fuel to the system, temperature to it, and density. And speaking of all that, let's remember to go back to our PYRO tab and to switch it back to the shaded view so we can see this.
Seth, can you scooch our faces over a little bit?
Nope.
Like to the side or something?
Of course
I like having our faces on there so people can know who's talking, but
of course I can.
Kind of covering things.
Boop. We're over here now.
All right.
Thank you.
So I'm going to turn off PYRO. It's really nice as you can just uncheck it right there. And I'm going to show you that this scene is actually all lies. What I have going on here is I have 3 barrels stacked on top of each other. They all have bullet tags on them. And hidden right here, I have this thing that I've called the barrel pusher. Let me turn it back on. It's just a wacky shape that I have there underground and invisible. And what it does is basically what it's one of the jobs of a pyrotechnician on a set. If you want a cool explosion, we just play along, and this sits here, and at some point this goes shaboom and hits our barrels to go flying through the air. They're not propelled by the fuel in this particular simulation. You could design them to do that, and I am not capable of it. So check this out. So yeah, one more time. It's a very simple trick of this bullet dynamics hitting these barrels up into the air and having them land at a certain time. And I've timed that hit to be about when these barrels would catch on fire. So if I turn the PYRO back on, let's stick with 10 for now. And I'll go ahead and press play. So what we get, I guess I could hide the collider, the barrel pusher, just to keep the illusion alive. Oh no, it didn't. At this voxel size, we hit a threshold. So I guess it's back down to 5.
Justin Ledoux from the Red Giant YouTube chat says, I don't know if this is relevant, but I like Black Eyed Peas better after Fergie joined the group.
I mean, to be fair, I enjoyed a lot more radio play of the Black Eyed Peas after Fergie was part of the group. It's like that a special sauce, you know.
All I have to say is you got to get that boom 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 boom.
Wait, what are you talking about, Mike?
I'm singing a Black Eyed Peas song.
That's
where it says boom boom boom.
I'm just joking. All right. So now you all see that
for anyone who hasn't heard of this indie band called the Black Eyed Peas.
The Black Eyed Peas. I hope they're doing well. So we have so now we have the fire arriving at the barrels and them being bonked up into the air, but that's kind of boring because they're not doing anything. And we want them to be exciting when something happens here. So I have added some pyro fuel tags to them, just like I did to the oil, but with a couple of additional things going on. I'll check these to be enabled one more time. And because these barrels will be moving very quickly, I have told this tag to have 3 substeps because the movement of this object is going to be fast. So I want the fuel to be calculating at a couple of extra substeps for this part of the simulation. If you want, in general, you can also add substeps to the pyro system. You can see that there are 2 in here, but this is more for if you want your fire to make it around more detailed objects by having more substeps, just like any physics sim. But if you know that something in your scene, like the car crashing through the scene, is moving really fast, add substeps to its tag right here. So I've added these tags, and down here I have fuel checked, and it looks like a mixed amount per one. So let's see. This first one is at a 0.5, a 0.5. One is at a 1. The 2 bottom ones are at 1, and the top one is 0.5. And so now with those,
Yes. While we watch this get ready to blow up, as we're excited, Cycle from the chat says, how could these dynamic barrels influence the vorticity of pyro, creating swirls? There's a couple of ways you can do it. If you just have a regular dynamic, you just put a collider tag on an object and animate it through the fire, you're going to get swirls. It'd probably be easier to show in a more empty scene with just a sphere on fire and moving a sphere through it. But yeah, if you have fire and you move a collider through it, you're going to get lovely swirls. So you could do that. You could also set them to have some pressure and other stuff in them to affect the color or the movement of the fire. You can also have them affecting field forces to do whatever you want with the fire. You can put a slime force. Yes. You can put a field force to move the fire around. So yeah, there's a few different ways that you could do that.
Absolutely. So we kind of get it now. We've got these new tags. They have these 3 properties of density, which, like Michael said, is like smoke, temperature, which the higher it is, the hotter it looks, the more, from smoke to red to orange to yellow it goes. And fuel is basically how much extra burn is being added to those things. So a really cool system. And I think that at this point we've got to jump over to our Fire for All fest of doing what the fans want, like Shrek ears on fire, which I hope I saved. If I did, oh good.
One really cool thing that I didn't know you could do until I saw Rocket Lasso's video was you can make objects that don't inject fuel, that don't inject density, that don't inject temperature, but they do inject color. So you can have smoke passing through an object and changing from smoke like normal smoky color to a purple or a pink or a green or whatever color. And he made a video of a nice waterfall of smoke coming down and running past a bunch of different cylinders, and then the smoke becomes a rainbow of color moving.
I saw that.
So cool. It's so cool.
It's so cool. So I love, this was an inspired suggestion, everyone.
It's an excellent suggestion.
If I could truly trust the Creative Commons attribution that this is a completely unlicensed and editorial free model, I would give this away to you all, so you could have your very own Shrek doll that you can.
Oh, hey Hashi,
light on fire.
Grab a sphere and put a collider tag on it. Move it through the fire just to demonstrate it.
Oh yeah, why not? Let's create a sphere and just the standard simulation collider tag. Look at this.
Mm-hmm.
And now let me just get to a better camera angle right here and. Shoom. Poof. Look at that. Boom. And look at that. Watch the flames curl after that.
So pretty.
Second. Move it right through and do that. And then any one of these that you're liking the notion of, as soon as you like it, you click on the pyro tag right here, go to the cache tab, check enabled. You'll be allowed to save this VDB somewhere. And once it's a VDB, you can render it with any renderer that supports VDBs, which is amazing. And also, one way that this can look very beautiful is using Redshift. I am not going to do that because I am very inexperienced with Redshift, but a lot of those questions are answered on yesterday's Ask the Trainer.
Oystein Rambler says, can't believe you guys have the self-control to not start making your own Fire reference material live. Well, it is tempting. SwitchMax FX asks, how does the new PYRO system compare with TFD or Fume? It runs on the GPU. TFD uses CUDA, so it's going to be a little bit faster, but it doesn't work integrated with Cinema 4D. So in the actual long run of making a scene actually work, it might be faster just to use this. Can you run Flaming Shrek through Mixamo? Fraser Woodhouse asks, yes, you can. There's an example of there's a Mixamo zombie crawling animation on Fire that is on the Maxon website, Maxon.net website about it. Oh, yeah. Can you have bullet dynamics with that? Bullet dynamics can be affected by field forces, and the Fire can affect the field forces. So yes, you can make it interact with the older bullet dynamics. I would be unsurprised to see bullet dynamics mosey away as the new unified simulation system comes into place. But currently, you still, even though it's not fully integrated, you can drive it with field forces, and you can have them be colliders in the scene. So you can still make them work together. Vector66 says, I do love how it's all in one system and easy to implement. Yeah, me too. It's fantastic.
It's crazy.
Me too.
Cool.
John Corbett, how do I get PYRO to flow around other objects? For example, flaming eyes whose smoke flows around the skull they're in rather than through it. We just did it. We just put a collider tag on the thing. That's all you have to do.
So watch this. I'll delete the collider tag and we'll play this. Okay, so neat. It's there. It collides with it, or not collides, but it is intersected by it, which is kind of cool. So if you wanted to, have fire and something going through it, it's like it is like a volume, but it's not interacting with them at all until I right-click on it and say Simulation Tag Collider. As soon as I do, the fire starts moving around it. It's beautiful.
It's just as simple as that, guys. Girls and everyone. It just works.
Before you ask, check this out. Look, I can make this sphere larger. Actually, wait, not that big. I want to make it about this. Let's see. Let's go to frame 0 because it's always important to do that for a simulation. Let's put this ball around Shrek's head.
Yes, let's please do that.
Like a little astronaut helmet, something like this. And now, this is. I'm so sorry to have destroyed the sanctity of Shrek's dignity online. I'm going to go to the sphere and turn it off in the display port. So we can't see it anymore, but it still has a collider tag on it. And right here, for the colliders, for the collider side, is colliding on the front. But I can change that to back or both. So both sides of the sphere, meaning the outside and the inside, are colliders. And if I did that, watch what might happen. Oh no, Shrek, your ears are on fire inside your space helmet. Pretty amazing, right? And I know what you're thinking next. You're like, well, I expected something different. Well, maybe if we went to the PYRO system here, one of the other lovely things under here, one interesting property that is worth playing with is the density per fuel. If you're starting out a new project, setting that to a low number like 1 is a great way to not overwhelm your computer right off the bat. But what I'm interested in actually right now is the dissipation. The default settings are at 7%, and I love them. They look really cool. But I think it could be kind of fun if they didn't dissipate so much, especially for comedy purposes. I'm going to press play with dissipation turned to 0. And now what happens is the smoke starts to build up in Shrek's helmet, which is really cool. And if I wanted to, we could dial up the amount of vorticity and turbulence within the simulation just so we could get something a little scarier. And maybe even let's turn the temperature dissipation down as well. And let's start that from the beginning again and see what we get. Now we got the helmet filling up with some gas, which is great. Look at that. It's so fun. It's so fun. You could write your significant other's name in a, and light it on fire from the inside. It would be very cool.
My heart burns for you kind of thing.
Exactly.
Not I want to light you on fire.
Not I want to light you on fire. Though multi-purpose, really, I'm not here to
No, these tools are for you to use. How you would like
these tools in virtual space are yours to use. Speaking of setting other things on fire, we're 50 minutes in, and I feel like we've not set enough things on fire yet.
Agreed.
So, people, let's start setting some things on fire. Someone had mentioned this. Let's see.
Hashi, close out your Shrek scene, by the way. The fewer scenes you have open, the better.
Let's see. Pyromania. What's today? 3D stuff. Let's grab this jog in circle FBX from Mixamo. All right, let's close you. I've got to save this, right?
Gotta save.
Rick on fire. Okay, we'll close that. So here I have a very intimidating liquid metal Terminator running in a circle. This is straight from Mixamo, and I just grabbed this from Mixamo because I wanted to apply it to a very low poly model. And that's because I'm trying to demonstrate this live. I'm not trying to set up an amazing production render or anything like that. So, and even for a workflow, I would suggest working with, if you want something interacting with your flame, work with something low poly. Use some of the Z-remesher, use the polygon reduction tool, make copies of your objects and use those to interact with your flames. All of those types of things would be very helpful for making the sim a little bit lighter. So let's grab this character, for example, and I'd like to try something. I'm going to go to polygon mode, and then I'm going to go to modes. Let's see. What am I doing? Tools. I want the paintbrush tool. So I'm just going to take this character, and I'm going to paint a little thing on it. So that's just the brush tool. Let's paint on the head right here. And yeah, that's all I'm going to do. You'll see that that's been stored right here as a little vortex map, which is kind of cool. And then I'll click out of that, and then I'll right-click on my guy right here and add a simulation PYRO tag. I got to click out of the mesh mode, so it'll go back to here. Now what I'm going to do is, so PYRO's been added, default, so I think what's going to happen is the whole body will try to light on fire. Let's save this as a Cinema 4D file, go back to the beginning, and press play. All right, so now we've got a Spike Jonze music video going on here, which is pretty cool. Is that for Bittersweet Symphony? Is that what that one was for?
Sure.
Sure. Knowledge of old songs. Those are all.
Jason Murphy
old
says
now.
that this animation has really named the Robert Patrick mannerisms.
It really has. I mean, you couldn't have captured that intimidating stance, that glare, you know.
Actually, you could capture it.
If you haven't seen the video of that being captured,
I'm just
it's
trying
amazing.
to pull that image up. At least the image of the. Oh, come on.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I can find that.
It lives in your dreams, in your nightmares for the remainder of time. Here we go.
Did you find it?
I did. Hang on a second.
All right.
Stupid thing.
John Corbett says, I'm going to lose so many hours playing around with this. Oh, listen, you will. It is it's so much fun.
There it is.
You will.
So it's like a character from Hellraiser.
I mean, this is a dedicated actor. I love the commitment here.
This is before they had ping pong ball tracking tech. Like, this is old school. They just paint on the person.
You know, yeah. I assumed that would also have that scanned section. There's a moment where they have to capture all of the individual expressions as separate wireframes after painting, you know, a grid onto Robert Patrick's face and having him contort and hold these like faces for an incredibly long time. It's amazing.
Francisco Garcia Nava says Wax, Southern California by Spike Jonze, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes.
I knew.
Oh.
Okay. Hey, look, it's got a transparency. I can just make this a little
what
icon on our.
It could become part of the show.
See if I can drag it straight in.
Oh, please.
Out of context, people not knowing what this is it looks like a very specific genre of something.
this is quite amazing. You never know what you're going to encounter here. So, Seth, if you want to head back to me for a second while you prepare our assets, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the PYRO system. I'm going to actually, you know what I'll do is I'll press Control D, go to my simulation tab, and for the scene, I'm going to change the scene scale. So that is right here. Oh, and they're grayed out because I opened a Mixamo file, and likely if I go up here to takes, I can uncheck the lock overrides button. It's just a thing about when you import something that has all of these other properties. It tries to keep everything locked up. So back to my project settings. I'm going to go to the scene scale, and this fire was clearly to.
Sorry.
He's moving.
Right
he's moving a scantily clad Robert Patrick around the screen.
Welcome to the show, Robert. Please welcome Robert Patrick to the show.
Oh,
he's not here.
So here under simulation scene scale, if I turn the scale of the scene up, I'll try like 290. That's a pretty simple way to see what would happen if I played back now. And isn't it, though? I thought it would be. Is the voxel size and scene scale? Or is my scene scale just so small right now? My scene scale feels very small, so I don't like that. Anyway, I'm going to go down to the PYRO tag that's on the animated object.
If you put a default, like a little person model in your scene from the thing, that'll show you the scene scale. Because that'd be a little person model.
That's weird.
It's right under where the cube is.
Yeah, so we'll go to the PYRO tag real quick, and then under density, you can see that there's a way to scroll down and add a density map. And I'm going to grab that vertex tag and drag it into there because you are my density. I'm going to also do the same for temperature, which is enabled right here. So the temperature map will mean a lot of heat is coming off of the head right there. And for velocity, I'm going to keep it set to movement, which is cool. We'll save that out. And we'll press play again. And now, what's gone on? Something is not doing what I expected it to do. Why is that? The vertex map. Oh, temperature map. Oh, I dragged the PYRO tag to the temperature map. I set it on fire wherever it was on fire. And now you'll see that the fire is appearing around his head, and that's not good. And the reason for that is because if you click on the PYRO tag, right under the tag properties, it is setting fire to the surface, like a surface emitter. But it also guesses but it starts with a default thickness of 10 centimeters. And in this case, that's too big for this particular scene. So I'm going to change this down to like 2. And I'm going to add a couple of substeps to this, so it'll be emitting more frequently from a smaller amount. Now, what might happen when I make the thickness smaller is that not enough fire will come off of the head, so it's not going to be enough. So we've got to go back down and see, what do we set this voxel size to 2.5? Let's try 2.5.
Try 1.
Might as well.
Try 0.5. It's a small enough scene.
Small scene. Okay, so
might need more fuel. Might need more temperature. Who knows?
More temperature. So let's add more fuel. Let's add. Let's just set it to a number to begin with and have it add more density. Let's check it out. Oh, I'm just not getting enough from the surface emitter. Let me dial up the thickness a little bit. There we go. Oh, is the system subset? Does that need to be? Is that also ruling the other ones? So like if I turn up these substeps, is that? So it might be just like the voxel size, where this is a determiner from the beginning. Oh, I'm gonna be so mad at myself if this isn't doing what I want it to do.
I mean, you could set it to not be a surface emitter and just it'll emit from his whole head.
That's a good point. All right, so we'll try that. We'll uncheck surface emitter. This is a lot of extra going on here, so I'm going to try turning the substeps back down and seeing if we can get something going.
It just doesn't like it.
Doesn't
like it at all.
And you know what I could do instead is instead of a pyro tag on that, I would just do this. I would add a sphere.
Parent it to the head.
Scale it down and parent it to the head. It couldn't be any easier. See, this is like the Mythbusters section where they can't replicate the conditions, and so they are going to simulate the result. So attached to the head,
which is very scientific.
Very scientific. So let's see. Let's zero that out, and let's just for science purposes, let's make it somewhat match up with this head here, and then we'll turn it off. We'll add a pyro tag to it. It's just that simple. Let's make the surface thickness of this like 5 centimeters, and now we're going to get what I wanted from the get-go, which is
you can take the pyro tag off his head now.
I think it is. Oh yeah, it's on the.
So funny looking.
I mean, if you wanted to do a Ghost Rider fan film, now's the time to do it.
It's true. Especially because you could use, moves with Maxon to get an exact mesh of your face or body moving around. All right, I've set the voxels settings to too ridiculous, but this is a lovely frame.
It is a lovely frame. Jalico Bandito says, guys, tell me how to use the standard materials with this pyro, please. No, I will not do that. But Redshift CPU, which comes with Maxon, in case you don't have the Redshift GPU version, Redshift CPU does work. And the new version that just released of Redshift CPU is 20% faster than the last one. So 20% is a good boost for a little CPU renderer. So no to standard materials, but Redshift CPU, yes.
I think I've got what should be our, maybe a thumbnail or something like that. I really
that's
like this.
That's an album cover image right there.
Really is. So if you've got a budding new,
I think you need a different. You didn't need a different HDR for a little more dramatic reflections on the body, but I don't know. The idea of them running through suburbia with a head on fire is also pretty good.
It is pretty great. All right, so who in the chat there is enjoying that we're doing some simulations?
Who?
Anybody? Because I've been learning a lot about simulations this year, and earlier this week I decided to try combining some of the different things that I've learned about both simulations and rigging, and could almost call myself competent in Cinema 4D because of them.
I mean, you're never going to be an expert in every area of Cinema 4D. It's too deep, but you can be good enough in an area to get things done.
That's true.
Pretty quickly. So
one thing that I was curious about the other day, I'm just going to jump right into it because, it's a holiday weekend, and, people need something to head into their holiday weekend with, inspiration in their hearts and minds. So let's jump into wherever I saved this to begin with. I think I saved it. Did I save it in the show folder? Did I think I was going to do it on the show? 3D stuff. Yeah, I did. All right. So let me load up this model test. All right. What have we here? This is pretty fascinating. What we have here, everybody, is actually not that scary. It's just a person. So I downloaded from using the Sketchfab importer tool. This like low poly, it feels like a Meta Creations like era character. It's a simple rig. And I also downloaded a simple skeleton. And
there's a skeleton in the asset browser for those of you folks who want to quickly skeleton something.
I think there might even be a rigged skeleton.
I love quickly skeletoning.
There is.
You mean quickly bone something? Is that what you're trying to say?
That's exactly what I wasn't trying to say.
Exactly.
And So we've got this lovely setup where I have a.
I don't know if you can tell.
skeleton.
I'm not doing anything on the show this week, so I'm just here for the comments. Go. Sorry, continue boning. My
Seth, you could the chat wants someone to set a turkey on fire for American Thanksgiving, which is coming up later. Even the Canadian Thanksgiving, as Hashi is well aware, was last month.
I'm actually working on something. I'm letting Hashi walk through this because this is going to be badass. But if I get any results, I'll show it at the end of the show. But I'm paying attention and I'm doing something else.
All right. So
those are two different things. Sorry. Continue. Sorry.
No, I love it. So what I needed to do with the skeleton is it wasn't in quite the same pose, and so I kind of isolated the rig and took the skeleton and tried to just align it as best I could. There's clearly some not quite lined up or whatever, but I think let me see. I think I got a little further than this, which was maybe model test 2. Let's try that one out. All right, there. I've tried to straighten out the bones and stuff like that. So they're all kind of inside the skeleton is hidden within this other model. And what's kind of cool is that since I had the old rig, all I needed to do was shift select this whole rig here, select the pieces of the skeleton here, and then go to character bind. And once I did that, it means that now my rig in here, let me just to visualize this better, I'll select these 4 objects and check X-ray right there. So now you can see the X-ray of where the skeleton is on the inside. But now they're both bound to this same skeleton model, which is really great. So if I move the spine or whatever around, they are rigged together, which is pretty cool. And so originally what I was going to do is I was going to take this situation and throw it into Mixamo and find an animation that kind of looked like a very famous moment in Terminator 2, where Sarah Connor is holding on to a chain link fence and shaking it. And the way they did this is with a series of different animatronic, they may not even have been animatronic. They may have just been pure puppets that were rigged up to look like different stages of being hit by a nuclear blast. So we're going to get a little bit yucky here. Just a warning to any of our, our skittish viewers or something like that. We're going to get a little yucky here. So let's save this project as cloth. Let's see, show cloth. I can't spell things. Show cloth things. 01. All right. So let's see. I had already done this in the background, but I grabbed the geometry bits from the exterior. I don't know. I'll call this. What should I call them? The skeleton and the flesh, I guess. So to the flesh, I've applied a cloth tag. And under the cloth tag, I went down to tearing and checked cloth tearing. Set it to right there. And then on my skeleton objects, I added a collider tag. And as you recall, the colliders collide with everything in the system. So let me turn off the X-ray mode by selecting the objects again, and under basic, unchecking X-ray. And my very first test, and I think I sent this as a video over to Seth, was I wonder what would happen if I have really terrible, meaning tearing cloth on top of this skeleton model that is just sitting here as a collider. What would that look like? And when I press play, this is what happens. Oh, it's just so visceral. What's happening here?
Someone is going to have nightmares from this show.
We're designed. I warned you. We are designed to fear, to be aware of our own mortality the older we get. And so I saw this result and thought, wow, that is fascinating. And this also feels promising because I have a feeling that it can be combined with something really cool. So
Jason Murphy says, my parents were killed by a nuclear blast detonated by a rogue sentient computer, so this is tough for me to watch.
That's dark.
That is dark. I'm sorry, Jason. And, my heart goes out to anyone, who When is Judgment Day? It was in like 1999, right? So get passed during our lifetimes.
Just say it's the wrong answer, and the chat will correct us shortly.
Oh yeah, it was. It was the same day as Y2K. So I'm going to delete all of these simulation tags for a second because I really just want I want to add some animation to this first. So let's animate this character, but I don't want to have to like deal with a lot of keyframes and stuff like that. So I am going to need to pose out this character. And it looks like there are keyframes already on the first frame. So I'm going to, for now, turn on auto keyframing and position Sarah here to look like she is grabbing onto a fence. So let's rotate shoulders a little bit forward, something like that. I guess this is the shoulder, the collarbone more. Let's do that. Let's do this. I am a good animator.
Considering you worked on Kung Fu Panda.
Like I'm sure I've said it on the show, but I remember all the legit animators were really upset when Action Movie Kid was going viral and I was being called an animator because they were like, he's not an animator. He's an After Effects guy.
Oh.
So I was like, that's cool. That's cool. So yeah, so here's somewhat of a grabbing a fence pose. And here's one of my favorite little tricks. Let's see, I'm going to bend the hands up like they're, kind of braced against the wall or whatever here, or the fence. But then she's got, like she's holding on to a chain link fence. You curl your fingers through it. But look how many joints there are in a hand. There are so many joints. But what's really cool is I could actually select all of these joints right here and then click on the rotate tool, make sure the per object transform is clicked, go to an angle that I can kind of appreciate what's happening here. And then I'm just going to curl all of these down a little bit. Isn't that easier? Look at that. And then, of course, I can fix up the thumb a little bit if I want. But I used to be really afraid of any time I saw something with a whole lot of pieces to animate. And now I'm not afraid at all. Look at that. A great fist.
She looks like she's grabbing onto the fence. It's perfect.
And let's do the same thing for the other hand. Let's open that up. I know it's very fun to watch animation happen in real time, but I promise this is worth it. So we'll grab down with our fingers here. Let's turn that thumb back a little bit more inward and less creepy there, something like that. Okay, so now we've got Sarah Connor grabbing onto an invisible fence or something like that. But she's animated in the thing. She's shaking the fence like crazy because she's upset. The people are not waking up to the idea that Judgment Day is upon us. And I really don't want to do all that work. That's a lot of work. So I'm going to use some amazing things called inverse kinematic tags. So the way that those work is I'm going to pick a spot, just the hips down here probably. And in fact, I want the legs to stay planted through this. So I am actually just, for simplicity, I'm deleting the legs. The hips are the bottom of Sarah, okay? So this is basically what I'm going to do. The gist is I'm going to animate it. So because I'm simulating the way they made this shot, which was an animatronic puppety thing mounted to the ground so they could blast it with fire. So I want to animate as little of this as possible, but get the idea of a panicked person. So what I'll do is I will, to the hips, let's add under animation tags, we'll add, not animation tags, rigging tags, an IK. Here on the IK, what we're going to do is we are going to add, as the end of it, we're going to scroll all the way down to the head top, maybe. Whoops. Scroll all the way down to head top and drag that into the end here. And so what should happen now is you can't see because it's drawn inside of there, but oops, no, what have I done? Oh, what I want to do is I want to also add a goal for where the head is. And then let's say under dynamics, let's enable them. And let's, under our forces, turn gravity down or maybe even negative. Okay, here we go. Now it's going to start to get interesting. So dynamics are enabled. So I'm going to press play. And so now the whole structure of the spine is rotating by trying to keep the head in place here, fighting against negative gravity, which is kind of cool. In fact, I might change the goal of the IK expression from the head to a new additional goal. Let me make a null object. That's the goal now. Null. I'm going to call this the head target. I promise this is all going to be worth it. How much time we got? We're at 3:15. Okay, I'm going to move this head target way up here. So we'll go to that, open up our skeleton again, and check on this tag here. And under the IK tag, we're going to make the goal that head target null instead of the top of the head. That way, this up here is what is trying to this. This is amazing, and I'm so.
And you can make separate chains for the arms to keep so that the hands will stick on the fence too.
Precisely.
Like you can make each arm. Is that what you're doing?
That's exactly what I'm doing. So the arms are kind of going wild right now, but we want them connected to the wall. So we'll do the exact same thing. Let's add I'm going to use spheres this time. And you'll see it's funny because the rigging situation makes it so the dynamics are being recalculated every time I move and even navigate through the scene, which is kind of wild. So let's put this right here. This is wild. Okay, I'll put this right here and I'll call it the, whoops. I'm going to press C to just make it out of some geometry because I'll want it as geometry later. We'll put this as the left hand target. I don't know why I'm naming these so well. I've never tried before. I'm going to control drag one over to here, and we'll call it the right hand target. And now that these two objects exist, what's pretty cool is I can go over to the right shoulder and add another rigging IK tag. As the very end of the IK chain, I'm going to drag the right hand bone right there to the end. And I'm going to select as the goal my right hand target. Okay, so you see how the arm, like the little part of the bone snapped right to the center of that sphere, which is pretty cool. So that means that now this right hand target is going to be try to be clung onto by Sarah, which is lovely. That's exactly what we wanted. So we're going to do the same thing over on the other side. We're going to just select the left shoulder, add a rigging tag, IK, drag the left hand into the end of that IK chain. And technically you could even add the fingers and stuff like that, but it'll get a little bit weird. And for the goal, let's drag down the left hand target. No, I lost sight of the thing. Wait, okay, tag, left hand target goes there. Okay, so now we've got this crazy setup here. And if I were to go down to the, let's see, let's go down toward the spine. Let's go to this very first spine segment, and I'll add an animation tag. Let's go to an animation tag, vibrate. And under that, let's enable rotation. 2 rotations of about 30 degrees. It's like the wiggle expression in After Effects. And let's see what this looks like. Look at this wildness. It's like someone trying to pull hard against something that they can't move their arms away from, which is amazing. That's exactly
Exactly what the puppets were doing. You got the look of those puppets in the movie spot on. Justin Leduc says they threatened her with a nuclear blast, and she took offense. Took offense. Offense.
Well done. Well done. Okay, I'm just moving the hand target down a little bit right here, and now ignore it. She's just bending ridiculously at the waist. Apologies, Sarah. Look at this. We have this cool kind of dynamic system set up, which is pretty neat. And if you want to, you can go into the dynamic system. I could add drag to this, and so there's a little bit more like, whoa. Sorry about that. Sorry. Position, hold. What have I done? What have I done? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We've moved into the thing.
Oh, God.
What?
Oh,
Undo.
dear God. Cut away.
Can we ever
look
get
away.
back?
You can never get back.
I can never get back.
Oh, no.
Unenable the dynamics for a second. Come back. Recalculate. Oh, I'm so sorry. No.
How?
No.
Oh, God.
Wait. Okay. Let me revert to the save project. Let me just see how far back that takes us. Not too bad. Not too bad. Not too bad. Okay. Still had these. Okay. We'll put these right here. I am so sorry, Sarah. So now I would, let's see. I'm going to hide the targets of these hands right here. And on these, I can't remember what's happening if okay, so they're holding pretty still right now. So let me turn up the vibrate tag to even wilder. We'll turn it all the way up to 70 degrees of rotation. I'm sorry. This is going to be horrible, I think. There we go. Okay. So this is ridiculous, but what's happening is that for the most part, the hands are stuck here until they have enough force to like really pull them back, which is what I actually do want. Because the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a fence. So I'm just going to go steal it from one of the other projects that I had because I don't remember where I got it. It's a Sketchfab model, but where is our model test? Wait, what was it that? It wasn't that. It was, the fence rig. The fence rig. Okay, so this is the one that I teased online. It's it's basically what we have just done, but a lot better.
It looks so good considering you quote unquote aren't an animator.
I'm not an animator, but what we've got here is this rigged system, and then what I did is I got this chain link fence. And just to set it up for you quickly, I'll just hide this one and do a demonstration of sort of what I had done before. I added basically a little plane. And if you have a plane like this and you go to its object things, it'll have some segments in it. That's probably fine enough. So I'll press C to convert that into some geometry. And in object mode, let's rotate it upward, 90 degrees.
Holding shift to constrain. For those who are new to Cinema 4D.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to place it right here so it's intersecting right where the fingers would be wrapping through a fence. And just for the sake of the scale, let's scale it down kind of like this. And then the next thing I did was I added a cloth tag to this whole plane. So I'm going to make it so, let's see, how do you do it? So I guess I could do X-ray mode and I could turn these on so you can kind of see it like a fence. Let's turn this into cloth by going simulation tags cloth. And now that it's cloth, as soon as I press play, what's going to happen? Nothing, it turns out. So
but you're still in model.
I'm still in
poly edge mode, yeah.
Oh yeah, there we go. So let's go back here. So I was still in polygon mode, sorry. So here we go. If I press play, it just disappears into nowhere, which is frustrating because I actually want it to move like a chain link fence. So to do that, I'm going to go to point mode real quick. I'll go to the plane itself. We'll go to the loop selection, and I will shift select all of these points. I don't know why. maybe did I mean ring? Oh, I did loop and I meant ring. So I've selected all the outside exterior points. And now if I click on my cloth tag and go to the dresser, I can say fix points. And since these points are selected, I'll say set. You'll see they become, is it purple? Something like that. Now when I play, you can see that there's a teeny bit of ripple in this, but it's basically like a sheet being held up at all of these points, which is kind of cool. And now I actually want more interaction with these hands. And so what I did for that is I have a hidden object. It's basically just like a little sphere that Sarah is grabbing called right belt in the right hand and one called left belt in the left belt. And if I go to my cloth surface, let me find a.
Hang on just a second, Hashi. I got another idea for how you might do it.
What?
So you might just add the collider tag to them and then turn stickiness on. Because they added stickiness in 2023.
I forgot about stickiness. Everyone always forgets to account for
stickiness. That way it doesn't have to touch, and then when she reaches out and hits it, then it'll stick. Rather than having to belt it permanently.
This is why Michael is around. Simulation tags, collider objects.
Turn the stickiness on.
Real quick, just want to check in. Not that anyone needs to know what I'm doing, but I just want to show that this is what's happening over in my court.
Someone's using moves by Maxon.
I'm bringing this up because I need to know, Michael. How do I? If I scale up this mesh here, I scale it up, and all of a sudden it's like, ah!
Right.
So I want to scale the whole thing up without that happening. How do I do that?
Can you put it all in a null and scale the null?
I did that, and watch this. Let me scale that null, and boom, still happens.
Is the null scaled up?
Yeah.
In the scale properties of the null?
Yeah, look.
Okay.
Scaled up. I thought, wait, what?
I'm all scaled up. Boom.
Something's happening.
This is better.
What?
I mean, it was, the big eyes was
your null
better.
scale is still at 1.
Yeah, why is that? That's weird.
Because you're... How do I explain the difference? So there's 2 different ways to make something bigger. You can make the things bigger, or you can make the object's scale property larger. One of them, I don't know how to explain it. One of them is more like modeling
I did
step.
It.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, what the hell?
Like you want to make it bigger in all the dimensions.
Yeah, but and that worked?
Huh?
Okay. Now you guys can see.
So you can be in object mode or model mode. And Justin Leduc says, yeah, there's animation mode. You can be in animation mode, object mode, and modeling mode, and they will change how that tool works. But yeah, so this works.
All right. Whoa, what happened there?
Ooh, do it again.
What?
If I go like this,
eyes on fire. Cool.
Goes for a little bit, and then suddenly the voxels just freak out.
Already, that is phenomenal. That is so cool.
Well, you would want to put your fire. You would want to take your fire things out, put them back at the right scale, like put them at scale value 1, and then scale them up the other way, and then put them back into the rig. Is what I would guess.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some. It's likely that the competing scales are getting confused, and so when something gets, I don't know what I'm talking about, but that makes sense to me.
Put them at scale 1 and then put them
confusing.
back in. That's gonna end up with a tiny little eyeball.
Yeah, make them bigger correctly outside, and then put them back in. Is what I'm saying.
Make them bigger correctly outside.
Yeah, pull them out of the null.
Okay.
Make them the size you want them to be, without messing with the scale function. Like just actually make them bigger, then put them back in the rig. So their scale. I don't know. I'm just trying to guess what's going on. PYRO is so new. I don't know what could be making it break. I'm just
so set them
this is
to
just my
1,
first idea.
Yeah, one of the best things to do if your scene feels very broken is to try to copy some of the assets out to a new file where you're aware of the scale and you're aware that there isn't too much parenting going on and you haven't messed with the physics settings just to get you back to a baseline. That is, but man, I love looking at that.
Let's go back to what you were doing. I'll keep messing around with this.
So it's your results are coming out fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm really
so back in here. I threw the ginormous chain link, the comedic size chain link fence. It's for comedy, really, which it was, I think, a missed opportunity in that moment.
This is like Honey, I Shrunk the Terminator is what we're moving into now.
It really is. I feel like shrink ray technology combined with the Terminator apocalypse is a missed cinematic opportunity that needs to exist. All right, so now as Michael suggested, I've made the little things in her hand colliders that are sticky, so they're trying to pull on the fence and stuff, which is cool. And that's just with the default cloth settings. So if I went to the cloth properties and on the surface itself, turned the bendiness way down to 0.1, and maybe the bounciness up a little bit, just so they have a bit of echo, like when you shake a fence. Let's see. So look at this. It's basically made it, the texture is the wrong size, but it adds that jitter to it, which is really delightful. And really what I'm going to do now is I just want to show the one that I had figured out before, because it's the same idea, but what I did was I added a cloth belt to the 2 points of the mesh of the fence connected to these hands. So that's a pretty wobbly looking fence. Let me see if I can turn the stretchiness down. And what's great is I can just play with this interactively right here on the cloth tag. So the bounciness maybe too high also. Bendiness 0. Stretchiness 0. Wait. Let's see. What do you think is going on here that I'm getting such jiggle on this fence now? Maybe. I'm going to take the collider tags off. I'm getting extra collisions. That's why.
Oh, hey, I figured out what I didn't figure out. Someone else said it in the chat. They said, Justin, you said Seth needs to scale up in object mode. I was in model mode and going into object mode now. Fixed it. I could just scale it up normal. Anyway, sorry. Bye.
Amazing. I realized that I'd left the collider tags on those objects, so they were also colliding with the cloth.
Classic.
So here's more of the original. So technically, they really shouldn't be very stretchy. They should just be kind of bendy. So you get the idea of a rigid fence, and that feels like a shaken fence to me. What do you think?
I think it's shaking good.
Shaking good. So we've got some wiggle tags that are wiggling the hips through spine, basically with the same random seed at mixed amplitude. So we've got 15 degrees there. Let's try turning that up even more. Let's try turning up the base to 25. That's going to be a lot, but I'm just curious to really make the desperation of this moment so clear. Look at that. So this is all vibrate tag based animation, and it makes me so happy. I mean, not the terrified for her life part, but look at all these simulations working in place. And the other day, I thanked Darren Frankowitz, Noseman, Jonas Pils, Michael Zalapsky, everybody who has helped me learn how this program works. This is a combination of all these little skills that we've come to use to make the stupidest stuff.
Yes, very big thanks to Darren Frankowitz, who helped me through, who walked me through this PYRO stuff as well. Very kind people we work with.
Yeah, but to have a simulation that works with this rigged character that is all just vibrate tags, adding practically a little fearful moment is crazy. I love it. Let's see, the neck. I've got some rotation on, so it's like she's shaking her head a little bit. I'm going to try adding some. Ooh, what if I turn up the head rocking more? Oh, it's a little bit too much head vibration.
Too much head.
And I'm just gonna
Justin
Wide
Leduc says
right
that this is a pretty fancy approach.
Fancy? Oh, fancy. I get it.
Fence.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There we go. Okay, loosen up the neck just a little bit right there. We're going to loosen up the head as well. This is like, it's like, a yoga exercise. There we go. Okay. Though maybe I'll make the frequency.
So now I've got to stretch my neck, make sure I'm sitting up straight.
Okay, I want a little bit less. Now it's a little bit much now. What random seed? Are they on the same random seed? They're both on seed 0, so they are. That's surprising. Maybe this one should have no rotation. It was probably fine, and I'm just like, I want these expressions to look like human actions somehow, which is ridiculous. So I'm using computer simulations of a character to simulate the human character. That's weird. All right, but I feel like I've gone way off.
Have you?
Way off topic in a way. We've been setting stuff on fire, but suddenly we're doing this whole shaking fence thing, which is fine. But now we've got to do what everyone knows needs to be done. So let's save this project as I don't even know what to call these. I have too many files here because I'm saving all of my iterations, because with the simulation you never know what you might get. And there's probably
it's time to do the needful.
Instances. It is. So let's see what would happen, just out of curiosity, if I added, a cube. Put the cube over here, just past the fence. Let's not waste a lot of pixels here. Then let's go to simulate forces. Let's add some wind.
Shortage of pixels in this world.
Past the thing. Because it's a chain link fence, I'm going to go to its cloth properties here and tell it under forces to ignore the wind. Because a chain link fence doesn't blow much in the wind. So I'm going to exclude that. And hopefully that's helpful enough. When I turn this wind speed up to I don't know, let's start with 1,000 centimeters per second. Put that right here, fence here, lady here, and let's just minimize a couple of things real quick, and then save this, right-click on the cube, simulation tag, PYRO. So now we've got a fan, or some wind, just like you're used to. And all of these simulation systems are going to try to work together. That's the fun part of all of this. So I'm going to uncheck not render the cube per se. I'm just going to play it with the default settings with the fan on and see what that looks like. No interaction yet with some of these surfaces. I'm just going to see what happens. Frame 0. Oh, ooh. Hey, look at that. She hid behind the protective chain link fence. That's how you do it. How to Survive the Movies. Hide behind.
That fire looks so good.
That's so cool.
Look at that.
And again, default settings on everything here. So look at this.
Wow, that's so cool.
That's my favorite part of this, is getting to interact with these systems in 3D, like when they're frozen in bullet time. It's
so cool.
I shouldn't have this ability. This is crazy.
Seth, check in. There's a link in the chat for Maxon quick tip on the different scale object issues to solve your frustration.
Thank you, sir.
It's in the links in the chat for everyone. On most of the venues, it's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. It's on 3 different YouTube channels: Twitch and Facebook. If you're watching us on Twitter, it's Maxon Quick Tip 341. No, it's Maxon Quick Tip 341 on Maxon's YouTube channel. We had 3 viewers on Twitter earlier.
Oh, we did.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
We had 5 at one point. It's Twitter's going crazy.
That's also how many people Twitter had in general.
Statement.
Yeah.
Anymore, yeah. Everyone's leaving to get their blue check marks elsewhere. Hashi, that is a beautiful fire. A great rig. I'm loving it.
So what I've realized is that PYRO is using the cloth because this is it's a solid sheet with a texture on it. It's not a real thing. So I was able to tell the cloth to ignore the wind, but I don't think I can tell PYRO to ignore this particular cloth. I don't think I can, unless I deal with two coexisting simulation scenes, I think is what I had heard about this. So what we're going to do instead is let's just grab all of, I don't need the camera in there. Just grab all of this stuff here. The rig, the chain link fence, Sarah shaking, all of that good stuff. 150 frames worth. We're going to, wait, if I bake this in Alembic,
you need to make her cloth blow off, or like her skin has to melt first before you bake it to Alembic.
Oh yeah. Okay. So
hey guys, sorry, real quick, dumb question, just interrupting this fun thing. How do I get the video that I shot with the moves by Maxon? How do I get that in the background and lined up? Like, how do I get a camera? It's got to be an easy way to do that.
Like a camera that's lined up with.
Yeah, like
where
to
you
get the rest of this video in here with a camera that's lined up with it. Is that not a thing?
Good question. Why don't you pour through the mountains of documentation on how to use moves by Maxon?
Michael, you got nothing for me?
Sorry, I'm trying to answer. If in the chat, Philip Nilsson is asking, is it possible to use this with Octane Render in any way? Yes. Any renderer that uses VDBs can use this. Do you need to export as a VDB first? That's one way to do it. But Hashi, if you go into the PYRO object, you can show them the different things you can tick on there for export.
Yeah. So right here, when you have the PYRO object selected, click right here on this object tag. So the object properties is this what you wanted to show?
Yeah. So I don't know if you actually need to export it, or if you can just turn on the things you need for Octane to render. I think if you just turn on the density and the on the temperature here, I think you don't have to export. I think you just turn this on and put your Octane material on this object. It will render, I think, but I'm not sure. If not, yes, export as VDB and you can go crazy. And you pick here what you export as the VDB, what values you're sending out.
Yes. And Jason Murphy, great call. I could just bake the cloth fence, but I also like your point, Michael, that we should load the skin off first.
It depends on if you want to drive the skin blowing off by the fire or just by the wind and turbulence you're setting by itself.
So here's what I'm going to do for the sake of not overwhelming the system, and it's sort of a systematic approach to this. I do want the debris to catch on fire as the fire is going through, and so there's some interaction, but I don't need the PYRO to drive the cloth, etc. Though, let's see. Let me just save these other random files that I have open. Close everything down. I'm going to start with a brand new scene file. Add a little thing, whatever, cube. Then I'll add a plane up here. I'll add a cloth tag to the plane. Simulation tags, cloth. And say this cube had a collider on it, right? Collider tag on it. If I press play, boom, amazing. The most wonderful simulation you've ever seen. In fact, I could turn up the number of segments on that cloth. And now look, see, a beautiful, amazing cloth simulation. Now, if this were like a piece of silk or something like that, and there were fire under it, as demonstrated by me going to simulation tags and selecting PYRO like this. Under PYRO's properties, there's an amazing thing right here called the fluid force factor. And I'm going to add not even very much, just a little bit to this. And now on this cloth, since we're on frame 1, let's grab the, let's see, as a plane, we're going to rotate this around 90 degrees like that, so it's hanging straight down. And we'll do the same trick that we did before by, looks like I'll have to press C to bake it as some geometry, select all of the, the top edge of it like that. And then under the cloth tag, I will click on dresser, fix points. So what that basically means with PYRO unchecked, if I press play, this is just a hanging piece of cloth. It's hanging pretty perfectly flat because there's not much going on.
You need to switch back into model mode instead of point mode to really see it.
Oh, dang it. Okay, so it's a little cloth sim. Cool, right? Well, watch what happens if I turn on PYRO now.
That's so cool.
Okay. I might have turned the fluid. That might have actually is it fine at 0? I don't remember the default.
Put it like at point something.
I want it. Whoops. Stop there. PYRO. I want you at. Oops, wrong. PYRO tag. Fluid force 0.01. Now I'll press play. And wait, why are you not showing up, PYRO? Cloth hanging. Let's uncheck it and then check it back on. Let's press play. Here we go. So check this out. The vorticity of the cloth, of the fire pushes on the cloth, which is amazing. So this is what Michael was asking, is like, do I want this to be what drives the cloth here? So for example, if this cloth, it has its cloth tag on it, but I could also come into here and under simulation tags, add some PYRO fuel to this. Now the default setting for fuel is like an oil barrel. So as soon as I start playing, this is going to go crazy. So I'm going to stop it. There.
And watch how the cloth is like exploding with it. It's so great.
It's ridiculous. So whenever I get to a point like this, I can tell that this density is going to freak out my computer. So just for my own safety, I'm just going to cut it off right there and go down to the PYRO fuel tag, and I will check what its fuel setting is, and it's set to 10. So let's change that down to like 1. Let's go to our cloth settings again, and under surface, I'm going to check cloth tearing. And now let's see what happens with cloth tearing. Look how few objects are in here. Look how few. I'm going to press play. And now the heat is going to start driving and pushing the cloth to angles it doesn't want to be at, which means that the cloth should start tearing and is a fuel source, so it'll legit catch on fire. Like, this is the kind of simulation that I would have never thought I would even be mildly close to attempting. Right? It's great.
It's so good.
You could even do an Independence Day explosion, which is how this is how they filmed them, like this, from the ceiling straight down. See how that looks like an Independence Day flame?
I absolutely do.
Why? Like, in fact, wait. Okay, sorry, cloth. I'm to delete you for a second. And
I don't think they showed this at all in this, like the interaction between the cloth at all in Wednesday's thing.
Joint, like that was the first thing that he showed me, and it blew my mind. Wait, do you think we have a city in our asset browser? Like a
one way to find out.
Like that.
Yeah, Hashi, you don't have to go to the menu for the asset browser. There's a button right there.
What is the button? Is it this one?
It's that button right there. If you go to the top left, top left, like right where the asset browser pops out. See that little button? Click it, and click it.
There's a button for it.
Just like the materials, it folds out.
My life. Why? Of course there's a button for it. Dang it. All right, let's bring in whatever this is. I don't know what it is. It's a city. Okay, cool. This is how Independence Day worked, folks. Let's see. We've got this city. It was built at a 90-degree angle. It was actually built slightly at a...
they built it on a hill.
Just slightly past like this. And the reason they did that is because they wanted the fire to look a little bit like it was clinging to the ground like gravity. And so by overshooting the angle of the generating thing a little bit, where did the cube go? How big is this city? Is this a huge, really, really big city? Oh, it is a very big city. Well, those models were big too. Let's scale it down.
Out Jogging Pictures asks, do you have to render the fire first, or can you export it as an OBJ to send to After Effects? So it's a volume. OBJs don't contain volumes. That said,
that sounds like such shade. Like some people contain magnitudes, but OBJs do not contain
OBJs
volumes.
do not.
No, OBJs are just points, polygons, like that sort of thing. And this is a volume, so it's got density and temperature and other information, which OBJs just can't hold. So you need a VDB. That said, now there are plugins for After Effects that can render VDBs, but I would render it first. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You can, however, make this an OBJ and send it to After Effects. It'll just be a blobby, more looking like fluid, because there is density and there are things called open VDB meshers. And in Cinema 4D, you have the mesh. There's a volume builder and a volume mesher. You can either put this in the volume builder to fuss with it and then put it in the mesher, or you can put a PYRO object directly into the volume mesher, and you will be able to tweak with settings and get a little splattery, blobby looking thing. Some folks are using it to make icicles, so you can make like fire, kind of pointy fire going, whichever way, and then you make it, you mesh it, and you get like kind of icicle looking things. It's really cool.
It's so fun. So all I've done in the background is I took that city, which was actually a bunch of pieces, and did a big connect and delete, because I'm going to put the city, I'm going to give it a flat ground plane below it. I don't know how complicated these objects are. Let me see. That's pretty low poly. I don't mind that. So on the city and on the plane, I'm going to right click and then go to simulation tags and add collider bodies to them. And then I'm just going to dive, let's see, I should add a camera that's over here. So remember, this is a vertical set. So we're looking down at it like this. I'm going to move my cube to just under the rim of it right here. And then let's
I'm
see.
so excited for this, Hashi.
I'm really excited for this too. I cannot contain myself. This is so fun. Okay, so let's...
Seth's so excited he had to leave the room.
He's gone. All right. These are both collider objects. The PYRO is all set up. I'm going to add a camera here. So this one can always be the top view camera. And then I'm going to press play. Yes. Here it comes.
Yes. This is like blowing up Doc Brown's like model town.
Basically, it's okay. What I've got to do is let's go to the PYRO object itself, and it's adding a lot of temperature, which is great, but I am also going to add some fuel, and I'm going to go to the PYRO settings, and I'm going to go to the dissipation settings, and I'm going to let the temperature stay hot for a long time. And the density.
I was also going to say you might also put in some initial directional velocity too on the PYRO tag.
That's probably a good idea, because you're waiting for that bloom and the inertia.
Yeah, you just want to shoot it straight out.
So set absolute velocity. The direction should be strength in Y, right? So I'll just turn up the Y direction. So strength is 100 in a Y.
I would pull out of your camera real quick just to make sure, so you can see it.
Let me get to
from like a wide shot from
from the default camera. I'll press the asset browser button. If anyone doesn't know, it's just that button right there. You can just hide it. Okay, so yeah, check this out. It's just like making Independence Day. There's a camera mounted on this crazy set at a slight angle. We've got a thing here, and I'm trying to add some velocity to the flame to go upward. So from this perspective, here's what it will look like. I'm so happy.
Incredible.
Okay, that's a lot. Okay, it's a little bit too much density based on the fuel. So let's go down to the fuel settings. And one thing I guess I could do is in the PYRO settings, I told everybody to go to density per fuel and change that to like 1 to begin with. And you'll see that this should look pretty comparable, but is actually doing a lot less to get the same result, which is nice. It's like a beautiful piece of popcorn, actually. And I mean, popcorns are like, what are popcorn but explosions of corn frozen in time?
I mean, that
was beautiful, Hash. That was beautiful.
You know, no, I should have been a poet.
Explosions of corn frozen in time, I think, is also a good byline for our show.
Hey, and how many words was that? 6 words?
Sure.
What is the challenge to make a story in? Is it 5 words or is it 6?
I don't know.
Ignore me. I don't
know
what
anything.
I'm talking about. The baby shoes for sale, never worn. No one? Okay, no one's with me. That's cool.
Are you singing Christmas shoes?
I'm not singing Christmas shoes.
It's too bad. You really should be singing Christmas shoes.
Okay, I just kind of want to see.
Jason Diamond has asked if there's going to be any CC ball action this week.
CC ball action.
There you go, JD.
Okay. You know what? Since we've only got 5 minutes left, let's. I'll figure out how to get some CC ball action in here. And here is how I'm.
CC ball action.
I mean, we've got the drop. We don't need any actual CC. Hashi, I want to see it from your camera view. I'm so excited.
Okay, yeah. Let's switch back to the camera view. Here we go. All right, and let's press play. Boom.
Fire.
Oh, it's so great. Okay, the temperature is a little bit too high, a little too hot. I want some more detail in there. So let's go to the. Oh my gosh. Got so little time. Let's go to the. What was I doing? I got too excited. Let me slow down. I'm going to set the absolute velocity to a little bit less. I'm going to set the temperature to not quite 4,000. I'm going to set it to like 2,500. I think that's more in the Roland Emmerich temperature for fire. Do you remember what his preferred fire temperature is, Seth? I feel like it's more in the 2,500 Kelvin realm. And, you know, that's not even good enough. We need more. We need... first of all, this cube doesn't need to be so big. I don't need that extra flame. Gosh, I can get it there, I swear. PYRO, whose settings am I going to mess with? I'm going to mess with the overall systems settings by turning the voxel size down a little bit and adding a couple more substeps, and then now on the fuel, the initial explosion, I'm going to turn the temperature down even lower to 1800. Let's see how that feels. So the temperature won't dissipate very quickly, but it will. Okay, here we go. Here it comes. This is fun.
So much fun.
Oh, man.
It looks so good.
It's stacked up a little bit too much, but let me just, from this camera view, zoom out and let you see what's happening behind this, because what's behind this, here's the area that looks awesome in there. So we've just got too much density coming at the camera right here. So let's get to a little angle like this. Oh my gosh, I really, really want this to work. How
2
much
minutes.
time we got? 2 minutes? Okay, we can do that. We can do it.
Do we need less fuel? Less fuel, maybe?
Yeah, less
more
fuel.
And more velocity.
Often the fuel ends up, let's see, I'll set the absolute velocity to 3.8. We'll turn the fuel down to 0.5, because often a lot of these values...
Do the velocity way higher than that.
Higher than 3. Oh, what is the scale here? It's between 1 and 100 of what?
I can't see your screen big enough to answer that question. Stupid Skype.
There we go. Now we're in Independence Day territory. Oh, yes.
Boys, we're in Independence Day territory now.
Actually, I'm curious, what would happen if I didn't even have the colliders on?
You dog.
If I didn't even have the colliders on. No time wasted, just... Oh, wait, actually, I'll just put the plane as a collider on. That way you're getting some general funneling of this fire straight down the street. Yes. Oh, I'm so happy. Boom,
the fact that we can get to this sort of result in, like, what do you spend on this? 15 minutes is ridiculous.
15 minutes, probably.
Ridiculous. It should not be this easy or this fun.
It should not.
And someone earlier in the chat said this kills Embergen. Embergen has its uses.
Oh, I was like, sorry.
Embergen is a standalone GPU accelerated real time fluid and fire sim thing.
Naturally,
it has its uses, but for stuff like for me, what I do, I don't want to have to jump out to something, try to take my geometry, put it in this other thing, bring it back in. Like that slows workflow down so much that it really offsets the speed addition you'd get from a real time sim, because you have to move stuff back and forth so much. Having it right here in Cinema 4D working on your GPU is just, assuming you have a good GPU, such a useful workflow boost. Like if you do anything with smoke or dust or fire, like obviously fire, but like even just smoke, like if you just want like a cool smoky look, there was a really cool demonstration of like the built Ford Tough being done with PYRO, getting that nice poof of dirt when the logo slams down, like that Mr. Frankovitz did on the show on Wednesday. Like you can do so much with this right inside Cinema on your GPU. It's so fast, it's great.
And I cannot stress that like you can pause right here and then like artfully like find
your moment.
Yeah, it's insanity.
Find your moment.
Okay, so since you've already played the drop, I have to. I'm really curious if I were to go into After
this
Effects.
drop?
CC bar action.
Okay, so I'm diving into After Effects really quickly. We'll add some fractal noise. We'll turn the contrast down a lot, so just something like that. Maybe, or let's see. Let's try some dynamic twist noise. No, not twist, just dynamic in general. Okay, and we'll turn up the scale to something like this, higher contrast, and then color correction, toner. Let's go to a pentone. Let's try sort of brownish there, and then in the middle, some. I'm going to be really bad at this. Sorry, everybody. This one should be closer to yellow, right? So, of course, you have like your standard fractal noise kind of thing, but I'm curious what would happen if I were to throw this into some CC ball action. And now we will
CC ball action.
I'm going to add a mask to the whole layer. That way I'm not getting a square of particles like that. I'm going to turn up the ball size to a little bit
CC
larger.
ball action.
Oh, yeah.
Stop it.
I'm going to rotate the whole. Let's see. Oh, let's add a camera, and then let's rotate the whole object on the x-axis. Okay, the ball size is too large. I'm just gonna too large. Okay, let's turn it like
Calm
that.
down.
Let's go to wait, no. What did I want? The scatter. Turn up the scatter a little bit. Okay. Stay with me.
Yeah.
Stay with me. Okay, so we've got this, and now we've got to. Oh man. Okay, maybe these should be a little bit smaller, and the grid size should be a little bit bigger. Okay, I swear this. I'm getting somewhere. I swear. Let's take the twist property, and we'll grab the brightness of it and twist everything by the brightness a little bit. Oh, the opposite direction, right? Okay. If we twist it by that, then what I could get is okay. We'll add an expression to the instability, say times 400, and then we'll minimize all this stuff, and then we'll add some what's it called? Vector blur. No, it's not, I'm not getting there quickly enough. Some vector blur. Wait, no. This isn't doing what I wanted to do at all. I might have to just to say that I'm failing on this one.
No.
It ain't PYRO. It really, it's PYRO is a pretty impressive thing, and it's slower than Pyro. Oh man, not the best. So it's not so flame simulations maybe not the best in After Effects style thing. Oh, the zoom is really high on this camera to be lower, so I can be far out like this, and then keyframe closer like that. There it is. There it is, everybody.
There we go. So you can do this.
I forgot
or
to
you can use
add some, evolution on the thing. That's going to fix everything. Time times 400. I know we're past time. But I love you all. You're so wonderful. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Okay.
There you go.
Almost. Here's the all After Effects version of Pyro if you need it. So do that, or
So to sum up, Wednesday, Cinema 4D released Pyro, which lets you do smoke, fire, explosions, etc. The new integrated redshift camera makes it easier to get your good shot, especially when you're reframing stuff for different aspect ratios. There's some really nice enhancements to that. There's a link in the chat for all this stuff. New radial symmetry in Cinema 4D. Viewport preview of redshift materials was also improved, with animated textures, ramps, and color correction nodes all come through now, which is nice. And procedural polygon selections and vertex maps on generators have been improved, so you can get point edge selections based on fields now. Forger has some updates, and trap code, new color and curve gradient UIs, new form behavior presets were added. So if you work in trap code particular at all, you're going to, especially with color, love the new updates to the graphics. And real lens flares. Seth, do we have a video we could show to show some of the beauty of the new real lens flares stuff?
Here's the thing, Michael.
Yes?
I think we do.
Oh.
If I can get us there. So just 1 second, please. I'm
This is exciting.
Let me start that over for you, okay? Okay, here we go.
Okay, go for it.
Oh, wait. Crap, where'd it go? I'm good at this. And boom. Those are some real lens flares.
And performance is also a little bit improved there too, which is nice.
We always love good performance.
Good job, Red Giant. We did it.
Hey.
So check that
Amazing.
out. It's very cool.
Do check that out.
And be sure to open up Cinema 4D and play around with that.
Fire.
I love that our heads lined up pretty perfectly with our with our.
It's pretty good, actually.
Let's check it one more time.
Fire.
Love it.
Oh, Jonathan Frakes.
Please welcome Jonathan Frakes to the show. Oh, sorry, Frakes. We have no time for you this week. Hashi, thank you for walking us through that entire thing today. That was incredible.
My goodness. It was a lot of fun.
In the meantime, next week, what are we doing? Are we here next week?
We are here next week. I think that might be our last show of the month. So I believe that as the last show of the month, we usually do a VFX Royale. So that means that maybe in the American Thanksgiving tradition, we'll figure out some exciting holiday-themed fight to the death.
Perhaps.
Probably going to involve the turkey getting cooked in possibly some fire.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. In the meantime, I just want to leave you guys with Fire Raptor
Yes.
Everyone, please have a wonderful, wonderful week, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Goodbye.